And also just pointing out to everyone who's new to our community, we do have a virtual group that is joining us momentarily. The camera is back there, so just to be aware of that as well. Okay, as soon as everyone comes over, takes their seats, this wonderful class here that's been working for quite a while. All right, we're going to begin with a prayer with Paul and Cantor.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו הגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Shabbat Shalom. So we're going to go over Shabbat Shalom. That's just a way of greeting one another. We also have a Chag coming up. So this Saturday night we have Shavuot. So we say Chag Sameach. That one's harder. You have to go. This is a moment we've been waiting for quite a while. On Shavuot weekend of 2020. This group was supposed to convene, and COVID had other plans. But this group has been very persistent, and we finally made it to our final destination, which is right here in the Congregation Shir Shalom sanctuary, in person, which was very important through this whole process to be able to celebrate. What you're going to see tonight is a work, a labor of love. Lots of hours of dedication and real struggle to learn. It is so important, as I told the class, to continue to learn. It inspires all of us that we should learn throughout our lives and take chances. When they do it as a group, it is even more special. They have one another to rely on, and they are permanently together. There'll be a picture on our wall, but there'll also be always, wherever they see one another, they're part of the adult B'nai Mitzvah class of 2022. They're going to be leading most of the service. I'll be announcing pages, and Cantor will be singing as well, and Paul Staley over here. We are kind of doing a hybrid between Shabbat and Shavuot. This is the moment of revelation. I'm wearing my 10 Commandments tie. I have to pull it out of my closet once a year. We imagine that Mount Sinai is literally overhead, and the revelation is coming to us. And that is the mood of tonight. So we are going to begin first with an opening song with the cantor with Ma Tovu, which is on page 630, if you'd like to follow along in the prayer books.
Israel, ma tovu.
We begin with the blessing over the talit. We're going to invite Jack Curtis up to the microphone to offer the blessing. A talit is traditionally given at a bar mitzvah, but it's also a moment of leadership. The leader on a Friday night service wears the talis.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedshanu b'mitzvotav v'titzvadanu lehitaiv batzi tizit. Shabbat shalom, everybody. This day is an accomplishment, and not only is it an accomplishment, it represents unfinished business. All of us in this room have something in our lives that we just never got around to doing, and this is it for me. Within the past couple of years, my best friend passed away unexpectedly. Another friend of mine ended up with a stroke, and he's now incapacitated. And just a few months ago, a friend of mine that I've known for years had a heart attack. The important thing to take from that is life is such a precious gift, and we don't know when it could end. It could end suddenly, it could end tomorrow. So, if there's any unfinished business, some of the things that you always wanted to do but never had the chance, take the time and do it now, because nobody knows how much time they got left. At this point, I'd like to thank the people in my class, Rabbi Alex, Cantor, and everyone else who helped me achieve this accomplishment. Because no one makes an accomplishment alone. There's always somebody involved, and I thank every one of you. Thank you.
We're going to continue with the candle lighting. We're going to, again, do kind of a hybrid Shabbat and Shavuot as well. So Audrey will be lighting our candles, and the class is going to be reciting the blessing. We're going to be turning to 384.
Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlikner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov.
May the candles light our way into Shabbat and into this important occasion. We're going to turn now to page 123, and Audrey is going to lead us with the class in the Kiddush, sanctifying the cup.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei Peri HaGafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zicharon l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'e kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta, v'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, v'shabbat kadshecha, v'yava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
The class may be seated. And Audrey, we're ready.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I started this journey with my CSS friends 3 years ago. For me, it was an opportunity to connect with my community while learning. We were still fairly new to Buffalo. I grew up in a Jewish household and spent several summers at Eisner Camp, a URJ camp in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. We campers to this day consider it our home away from home. With the introduction of Facebook, many of us have even reconnected over the years. It was a very big part of our growing up and of our Jewish identity. At the age of 13, a bat mitzvah was not really a possibility. I was recovering from spinal surgery. I attended Sunday school, but not Hebrew school. By the age of 17, with my sister turning 13, we decided together that we wanted to have a b'nai mitzvah at camp. We got some Hebrew tutoring and learned to read, and we read our few sentences together at camp one Shabbat morning. It was very special with our camp friends, parents, and younger sister in attendance. Fast forward to marriage, family, life with 2 boys, listening to them prepare for their bar mitzvahs. I frequently said to myself, I should be learning trope along with them. It was something I had never done before. But life gets busy, and between work and raising my young men, it just kind of got put on the back burner for someday. So when this class was announced, I decided that there was no time like the present. I want to thank Erev for guiding and supporting me through this journey. I'm constantly learning with him. His excitement and thirst for knowledge is contagious. Thank you, Rabbi Alex, for bringing us all together, giving us the opportunity to continue our studies, and after 3 years with the pandemic, to reach this season together. Shehechianu. Learning trope had been a goal for a while, and here was my opportunity to study and learn. Having studied music in the past, I continue to find the study of trope fascinating. I want to thank Kenner Frank for taking us under her wing and teaching us. Her enthusiasm shines through as she meets with us weekly in our study sessions. Also, thank you to Joanne Marcusy, Nancy McGorry, and to Harvey Horowitz for supporting us, teaching us along the way. Mazel tov to my classmates. Our journey to today has taken 3 years. However, it does not end here tonight. Learning trope for tonight was the beginning for me, but I plan to continue studying and learning.
We'll officially welcome in Shabbat on page 138 with Lachado D. This is a prayer we imagine Shabbat actually entering into our room. We'll be singing the first verse and then skipping to the 9th verse. On the last verse, we rise and we face our doorway as if Shabbat were entering into the room. We bow to the Shabbat bride as she enters, and then we welcome one another by waving like this. So 138.
Shabbat
We remain standing for the call of community on page 146, the Baruch, and the B'nai Mitzvah class will lead us in that call. 146. We remain standing on page 152 for the Shema.
Israel, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ein Roshen Kavod, Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Renee will be leading us in the Via Hafta on page 154.
Via Hafta et Adonai Elohecha v'kol levavecha uv'kol nafshecha uv'kol mildecha v'hayu hadarim ha'ela asher Anoki mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ushivtatam levanecha v'dibartam bam b'shavtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shavtecha uv'kumecha ukshartam liot al yadecha v'hayu litotafot bein einecha uktavtam al mizvot beitecha uvisharecha laman tizharu ve'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hayitem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hoseti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay, when it was time to prepare for my bat mitzvah, when I was around 13, I quit because it was difficult, and I was more concerned at the time about public school and my social life. And I enjoyed going to temple with my father, and I enjoyed the special meals that my mother made at the holidays. But my parents didn't feel that the ceremony was that important to me, for me, because I was a girl. My brothers had their bar mitzvahs. But many years later, when my children had bar mitzvahs, then I felt I would like to start bar mitzvah training at some later date. And the Via Hafta teaches you how to be a Jewish person everywhere and at all times. I practice Judaism by loving God, teaching Jewish values to my children, trying to be kind, helping others in need, helping animals in the environment, and by learning Torah. I also enjoyed my trip to Israel with the Federation in 2013, and I also participated in many cultural educational events at Temple and at the Jewish Community Center. My Torah portion of the Ten Commandments is do not covet, which means to be content with your strengths, your family, your possessions. Even though I've had some disappointments in my life, I am grateful for many reasons. I'm proud of how my children have developed into caring adults with careers they enjoy. I also have good health, a nice home, good friends, interesting hobbies. And I also finally like working as a teacher's aide at everyone BOCES schools. And then I want to thank my B'nai Mitzvah classmates for participating in this 3-year journey with me. I also want to thank Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, Hardy Horowitz, and Joanne Margasi. And I also want to thank my children for their support. Thank you.
We're going to turn to page 161. If you look on the left-hand side at the top, this is a song that the class particularly picked out. We're going to invite them to lead us in Let There Be Love. This is participatory, so we hope that you'll join in with the class and with Cantor Frank.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
On page 162, we have Vishamru. The class will be leading, and Audrey will be leading the verses.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, לדורותם ברית עולם. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat,
And the class may be seated, and Andrea is going to share some words of Torah.
Shabbat Shalom. 6 years ago, I started on a journey towards conversion into Judaism. Conversion, however, is a problematic term. Humans are not isolated objects to be transmuted from one form into another. Rather, it is an adoption of a faith into a community where tradition is not a static force, but a dynamic energy that links us to one another. In completing my B'nai Mitzvah, I am adding a link to a community that I am grateful to have been adopted into. I cherish the friendships I've made through Erev Shabbat and Shabbat morning service, Torah study, and up until COVID hit, volunteering at Monday Night Bingo. I would like to thank Harvey Horitz for helping me with my Torah portion, Rabbi Alex and Cantor Frank, as well as my fellow Mitzvah students for their support. Finally, I would like to thank my family for their continued love and support throughout this journey.
And Andrea is going to be leading us in the Amidah, which starts on page 164. We invite everyone who's able to please rise as we approach God.
Adonai sifitatita ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Yoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, v'Elohei Leah. El Hagador, Hagador Banara, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, V'Zarhi Hasadi Avot V'Yamot, Uvmi Galei Livnei Lachem, Laman Shemo V'Yava, Melech Otzer U'Mashiach U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magi Nevraham, V'Yisrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Magahi Hakol Atah Rulashia, Orid Atal, Mekayim Kayim Behesed, Mekayim Hakol Berachamim Rabim, So Meknoflim Verofei Holim, Umatir Asurim, Umakayem Emunatov, Lishanei Afar, Mikamo Kabal Gifurot, Umidom Eslak, Melik Memid, Umahayem, Umasia Yeshua, and Amatat Amlakai Hokal, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekayeh Hakol.
We continue quietly with our own prayers through page 180. You may be seated whenever you're ready. And we'll continue with the prayer for peace, O says Shalom, on page 180. We invite the class to rise to lead the prayer.
Say shalom Bivramah. Say shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael.
And we invite the class to sit at this point. We're going to turn our attention to our healing prayers. The prayer itself, the Misha Berach, can be found on page 371. I'm going to read our list from our community. If you have other names of people that you'd like to say out loud, we'll go around afterwards and just kind of raise your hand as I come through the congregation. Helen Oblov, Rachel Anderson, Judy Bardock, Stephen Bernstein, Christopher Braden, William Wade Boker, Ebony Burse, Esteban Cabarro, Vito Cavallari, Lynn Klinhammer, Dolores Denzel, Patrick Fitzgerald, Sue Frank, Zaire Goodman, Irene Green, Mark Gugino, Jill Hamilton, Leon and Cecilia Henderson, Nancy Hersbrunn, Paula Jones, Tracy Kassman, Brian Kern, Gail Kleberg, Mark Nightinger, Manny Quechin, Mary Korchowski, Gail Lewis, Ryan Lynch, Peter Mackler, Helene Mesh, Rebecca Mesnikoff, we can take her off, Mike Millman, Chip Monahan, Jill Shire Monahan, Janine Morris, Tom Moscato, Michael Muse, Colleen Newman, Ann Oppenheim, Betty Placati, Brandon Ryan, Cheryl Rossi, Barry Schoenfeld, David Shevat, Christopher Smith, Gary Speisman, Paul Staley, Margaret Stevenson, Lynn Ullman, Athena Tucker-Pasiak, Jean Taransky, Jennifer Warrington, Anita Wiesel, Jeanette Wood, Chaya Bat Chava, Hannah Ezra Ben Shuel, Sarah Gittel Bat Chaya Vadina, and Eli Ben Moshe. If you have other names?
Michael Bernstein.
Roger Marchione, Linda Vegas.
We're going to invite Sharon up to lead us in the prayer.
May the source of strength, who was the ones before. the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach. My Torah verse that I will recite later tonight is the fifth commandment, honor thy father and thy mother. On the surface, this seems ironic, as I did not have the greatest relationship with my parents. One reason for this is the lack of religion in my home growing up. My father had a very Orthodox Jewish upbringing and became sick and tired of the restrictions of Orthodoxy in his later years. And when he got married and had his own family, he decided to remove the religious restrictions from his daily life. My mother, who was raised in the conservative Jewish movement, was very passive and decided that when she got married, she would have her husband determine the religious sect which the family would follow. In my youth, I attended Hebrew school and Jewish summer camp, but we had no religious observance or feedback at home for the most part. The only Jewish observance we had at home was Hanukkah, as my mother did not want to deprive my brother and me from having our December holiday. Other than that, my parents left it up to our Hebrew school teachers and camp counselors to educate us Jewishly. My father, in his own words, had no use for religion, as his philosophy was that while religion is supposed to teach us brotherly love, at the end of the day it does just the opposite, as in many parts of the world, one religion has been pitted against another, resulting in wars over religious differences. His beliefs were why I'm becoming a bat mitzvah now, and not at the age of 13, as my peers did at that time. During one spring in the early 1980s, my deprivation of religion led me to anger toward my father. As my Jewish friends were celebrating Passover, my Christian friends were celebrating Easter, and my family was doing nothing. In my fit of anger, I told my parents that I was going to convert to another faith. Shortly thereafter, I realized that this was only a response to my anger toward my parents for giving me a minimal Jewish upbringing, and I told myself I could never worship any other God except our God Adonai. My parents, no matter how minimally, instilled in me enough of a Jewish upbringing for me to realize this, so in that respect, my parents are worth honoring. I would like to thank the following people for making my bat mitzvah journey a reality. Rabbi Alex and Cantor Frank for their guidance, our Executive Director Joanne Ruckusy and Administrative Assistant Nancy McGorry for getting the Adult B'nai Mitzvah program going again after the pandemic shutdowns and my retirement, which left me with more time to devote to this project. My B'nai Mitzvah classmates for sharing this incredible experience with me, my brother Dan, and my sisters and the women of Shir Shalom Sisterhood for supporting me in this effort, and a special thank you to my husband Barry for his belief in my ability to do this and for reacquainting me with my Jewish heritage throughout our 32 and a half years of marriage. Thank you so much, everyone.
I don't know about you, but I'm getting chills. It's wonderful to see this class really embrace this project. This moment that we're in is a very important moment, an important weekend in the Jewish calendar. This is where Revelation happens. The holiday of Shavuot, Pentecost, that moment when we understand we're actually, all of us are literally at Mount Sinai as the Torah, the Ten Commandments are brought down to us. Judaism is a very unique religion that revelation doesn't occur in a silo with no one present. Everyone is present in every generation at all time. We really, the centerpiece of that is the actual reading of the Torah and the accepting of the Torah. That is what we are turning to right now. We're moving to that moment where they are going to be accepting and feeling and holding the Torah. We have a tradition when we have a B'nai Mitzvah in our community, is we actually have, usually the child, hold the Torah in their arms and pass it throughout their family. We call this Lador Vador, from generation to generation. We're going to allow the class now to hold the Torah as the cantor is going to chant Lador Vador. So I'm going to invite the class to rise, as well as the congregation, as if we were at Mount Sinai itself.
Ledor vador, ledor vador, ledor vador, no
turn to page 366. The class will be leading us responsively in the prayers on that page. You may be seated. We're going to invite the class over to the Torah itself. It is open to the 10 Commandments in Exodus from Parshat Yitro. And Harvey's going to tell me what page it's on.
The last word on page 294.
So if you reach, not in your prayer books, if you reach in the seats in front of you, you'll find a Pentateuch, a Chumash, and it's the last word on 394, with 294. Invite the entire class over to the Torah table. And Audrey, why don't you open the Torah to the right place? Audrey, could you hold up? There is a gift that the class is giving to our synagogue, something we all need, which is a new yad. This is how we say congratulations. Look how shiny that is. This is a miracle yad. You would not believe it with the pandemic. It literally came in, I think, at 2 o'clock today. That's just like Revelation. It's perfect. So they're going to be reading, all the classes reading different points of it. First, they're going to be doing the blessing together, which is in the prayer books on 368 if you wanted to follow along. So if the class just get in front of the microphone there.
Baruch hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Leolam Vahed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Vayidaber Elohim et kol hadvarim ha'ele lemor. Anochi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim מבית עבדים. לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי. לא תעשה לך פסל וכל תמונה אשר בשמיים ממעל. ואשר בארץ מתחת, ואשר במים מתחת לארץ. לא תשתחווה לכם ולא תעבדם, כי אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך אלקנה, פוקד עוון אבות הבנים על שלישים ועל רבעים לשונאי, ועושה חסד לאלפים, לאוהבי ולשומרי מצוותיי. לא תישא את שם אדוני אלוהיך לשווא, כי לא ינקה אדוני את אשר יישא את שמו לשווא.
זכור את יום השבת מקודשו, ששת ימים תעבוד, ועשית כל מלאכתך, ביום השביעי שבת לאדוני אלוהיך. לא תעשה כל מאודיך את בנתך ואת השתך על די בעונך, ובאת בה בעינך אשר בשעריך, כי ששת שבת אשר אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, את היום ואת כל אשר בם, וינק ביום השביעי. על כן ברך אדוני את יום השבת ויקדשהו.
כבד את אביך ואת אמך, למען יאריכון ימיך, האדמה אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך.
Did you go right?
No, I did 13.
I do 14.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Lo tirsak, lo tinav, lo tignov, lo tane veri aka ed shaker.
To find it. Where did you leave off? Where did he leave off?
Right over here and up.
Over there? This, the third one, 2, 3. Okay. Lo takmod bait. I'm not in the right place. It must be this one. Okay, this one. I'm trying to find the right place. 1, 2, 3. But the end says lo takmod again. Okay. But I don't see the lo.
Yeah, I think it was on this side.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Oh, now, yeah, okay, now I see it. Lo takmod beit reacha. Lo takmod eshet reacha. V'avdo v'amato v'sharo v'chamoro kol asher l'reacha.
We're going to invite the class to touch the Torah. And then we have the blessing after the Torah. Those of you that were using the Pentateuch, you can put it back in the seats in front of you.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen.
We're going to invite Audrey to put the cover on the Torah, and the class can be seated. Ruth is going to be speaking and then leading us in the Haftarah.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Three recent events reminded me of my childhood and the middle and working class Jewish communities I grew up in Brighton Beach and Manhattan Beach in Brooklyn, New York. The community was filled with immigrants and the children of immigrants. Some were Holocaust survivors or the children of Holocaust survivors. All our parents worked hard. Families were strong. Many lived in extended families or close to aunts and uncles and cousins. Education was seen as an important key to a good life, and our families had different ways of identifying with and keeping our Jewish heritages and cultures. In my family, my sister and I and my cousins went to the Yiddish shula in Brooklyn. We were among the few in our generation to learn Yiddish. The Russian invasion of Ukraine brought up memories of both my parents' families, who were from small towns near Odessa. Because Russia controlled Ukraine at the time, they and we thought of ourselves as Russian. My mom's family fled Russia after the revolution of 1905. My grandpa was drafted into the Russian army. As an observant Jew, he resented that the army tried to make the Jewish soldiers eat pork. He deserted. I have no idea how he, his wife, and 3 small children at the time got to the US or how they got the money for that journey. My mom was born in 1909, soon after they arrived in the US. Seeking to escape war, poverty, and famine, and in search of a better life for their family, my dad's family, like Naomi and Elimelech in this book of Ruth, decided to emigrate to the US. My grandpa and his 2 oldest sons came to the US before World War I. Then came World War I, the Russian Revolution of 1917, and the counter-revolution. My dad remembered the red and white armies fighting each other in his town, and a night when the children cowered on the floor of their classrooms while bullets flew through the windows over their heads. Sound familiar? After the Red Army won and the Soviet Union was established, emigration was shut down. Like many immigrants today fleeing desperate conditions of war and poverty and famine, My aunt, married at the time with 2 small children, figured out how to hire smugglers who would guide them out of the Soviet Union so they could then make their way to the US. My grandma and the 4 boys successfully got out, but my aunt, uncle, and their 2 small children were captured. They spent a year in jail. What was that like? When they got out, they again hired smugglers and were able to make it out of the Soviet Union and begin their journey to the US. How did they get the money to do that? What were their journeys like? How long did it take them to get to the US to reunite with the family? I know one uncle spent 10 years working odd jobs throughout Canada before he was able to get to the US. It must have been harrowing. They never talked about it. Both my parents' stories and the story of Ruth remind me of the many immigrants and children of immigrants in my community then, and the challenges immigrants and refugees face today, as well as their strength, resilience, and caring. I'm grateful that my family and community practice these values. I hope these values continue to inspire my children and grandchildren. The story of Ruth also reminded me of the limited opportunities available to women outside of marriage. In the days of Ruth and Naomi, marriage was the main way women survived, and it still was into the 1920s and 1960s and 1970s. Even in my generation, there was pressure for women not to get too educated. After all, what man would want to marry a highly educated woman? Despite these pressures, the women of my generation began to fight to open workplaces to women and for equity. Thank you to Rabbi Alex and Cantor Frank and Joanne Marquesi for creating this engaging and supportive opportunity to learn more deeply about our culture and heritage through the B'nai Mitzvah class. And thank you to my sister and brother students who are role models, who embrace the challenges of learning Hebrew and Torah. You are all an inspiration. And thank you to my family and friends. I'm so grateful for your love and support. You enrich my life every day. Now I'm going to read from the story of Ruth. In the days when the chieftains ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a man of Bethlehem in Judah, with his wife and 2 sons, went to reside in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elimelech, his wife's name was Naomi, and his 2 sons were named Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem in Judah. They came to the country of Moab and remained there. Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth, and lived there about 10 years. Then those 2, Mahlon and Chilion, also died, so the woman was left without her 2 sons and without her husband. She started out with her daughters-in-law to return from the country of Moab. For in the country of Moab, she had heard that the Lord had taken note of his people and given them food. Accompanied by her 2 daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living, and they set out on the road back to the land of Judah. Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Turn back, each of you, to her mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. May the Lord grant that each of you find security in the house of a husband." And she kissed them farewell. They broke into weeping and said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." But Naomi replied, "Turn back, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Have I any more sons in my body who might be husbands for you? Turn back, my daughters, for I am too old to be married. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I were married tonight and I also bore sons, should you wait for them to grow up? Should you on their account debar yourselves from marriage? Oh no, my daughters. My lot is far more bitter than yours, for the hand of the Lord has struck out against me." They broke into weeping again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law farewell, but Ruth clung to her. So she said, "See, Your sister-in-law has returned to her people and her gods. Go follow your sister-in-law. But Ruth replied, do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Thus and more may the Lord do to me, if anything but death parts me from you. When Naomi saw how determined she was to go with her, she ceased to argue with her. And the two went on until they reached Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole city buzzed with excitement over them.
Okay, so we have Candy that's gonna, do you want to do the blessing after?
Yeah, I can do the blessing.
Yeah, do the blessing. Hold on, we're gonna do the blessing after.
Oh, okay.
You can, no, do it.
Do it now?
Yeah. As Ruth's doing the blessing, you're gonna receiving candy. That's, don't eat it yet. We'll show you.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nvi'im tovim v'ratza v'divreihem hanei emerim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek.
So what you're getting passed around as a tradition, I don't know, it must go way far back, but probably when they had crinkled candy. I don't actually know how far back, but we shower the B'nai Mitzvahs with love and support. This is not to injure them or to give them a sweet tooth. This is just kind of a sweet little tradition that we have. So we're going to invite the class to stand up in front of your little podiums there. And please be gentle, not just for their sake, but for mine and Cantor's over here. What will happen is raise your hand if you still need candy. Joanne and Sheila are handing it. Looks like the whole front row over here and a couple of rows. So what we'll do is on Cantor's cue, she'll start singing Siman Tova Mazel Tov. You can gently throw, just like this. If it ends up at their feet, that's okay. They should just feel the joy of this wonderful occasion. I see Erev winding up. He's ready. It's not a soccer ball, Erev. A football, yes. Well, what we say soccer ball. All right, everyone got? Does everyone need? Raise your hand if you still need. All right, I'm going to go back here, and Cantor will start.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov.
Wonderful. Okay, so you guys can be seated. We have some gifts for you for our community. First, we have these wonderful Tudat certificates of B'nai and Benot Mitzvah. Look at these ones Nancy found. These are wonderful. They have your name on it and to indicate your commitment to study and uphold Torah. May this be one of many milestones in both Jewish study and action. It has the date today in Hebrew and English, the Torah portion, and Cantor and my signature. So I'm going to pass this over. Oh, it doesn't look like you need your own signature. So I'm going to hand this out. We have for Jack Curtis over here. You're the C. You got number 1. And for Andrea Mesa. For Renee Schwartz. And Sharon Krebs. Ruth Meyerowitz. And Audrey Nadell. It is also a tradition to give out Kiddush cups, so we have a Kiddush cup for each of you. That Nancy wrapped and prepared. Oh, Julia's going
On behalf of the women of Shir Shalom and the men's group, we're so proud of you all. They don't have your names on them, so.
The only thing we don't have is a certificate to go to Israel. But there is, and you can talk to Robin over there, there is a Federation trip coming up that is somewhat subsidized by our community in October, I believe, right? Yeah, and just see Robin over there with the white mask and white shirt. Perfect for Shabbat. All right. We are going to invite the class now to rise. If they have family members that would like to join them, we have kind of the placing of the hands. If you want to invite any of your family up. And if they feel comfortable, you can just put their hands on you as Cantor and I offer the priestly blessing to you. Aww. And we'll invite the whole congregation to rise for this.
Adonai,
May God bless you and watch over you.
Adonai, panav elecha, v'kuneka ken yehi ratzon.
May God shine God's light upon you and grant you comfort.
Yisa Adonai, panav elecha, v'yasem lecha shalom, ken yehi ratzon.
May God lift God's face to you and grant you and all of us peace. And we say together, Amen. Mazel tov, and you can hug each other if you want. Usually when I tell the little kids, I'm not sure if they're going to do it or not. We're going to be symbolically putting our Torah away on page number 374 in your prayer books with It's a Tree of Life. This is a clapping one. I know Audrey is very good at clapping, so she's going to help us out. It's a Tree of Life.
It is the tree of life to those that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is the tree of life to those that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 that's a part of our happy is the tree of life. To those that hold fast to it, and all of its support is our happy. Shalom, 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 shalom.
We remain standing for Aleinu, page 586. It's not enough for us just to pray. We need to go out and make this world better. 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא עזבנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
You may be seated. We're going to turn to the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. In your leaflet, the back of it, it has the list of names that we're reading today. First, today we said goodbye to Lee Cohen. Was a wonderful individual, and our thoughts and prayers are with her family, as well as Ida Nevler, who also died this past week. On our Shloshim list from this past month, we're remembering Billy Azel, Julius Brodsky, Andrew Cahill, Sherry Slonim. And our yahrzeit list, we are remembering, this is from years past, the anniversary of their death. Samuel Axelrod, Bernice Baker, Robert Baker, Edith Balin, Nathan Berman, Anita Breger, Louis Bush, Martha Cantor, Barry Cohen, Beverly Cohen, Sidney Cohen, Peter Covey, Gertrude Kramer, Gertrude Goldberg, Frank E. Gordon, Delutza Gutman, Carl D. Haber, Louis Jacob Haas, Martin Habenstruck, Blanche N. Hirsch, Milton Herzog, Marianne Kaplan, Abraham Kranitz, Frank Lederman, Ruth Levinson, Isaac Levy, Lois Levy, Marshall Linder, Bessie Michaels, Elsie Myers, Marvin Palanker, Sidel Perlman, Ira L. Posner, Reverend Elijah Revo, Esther Robinson, Mildred Sutteran, Nettie Spector, Helene Shapiro, William Shapiro, Barbara A. Simon, Blanche Sabatnik, Abraham Sugar, Francis Takif, Anna Tatuski, Kenset Whitcomb, and Thomas Wisniewski. If there's other names, please raise your hand. And we're going to invite those whose custom it is to rise. Sharon will be leading us in the prayer.
Yikadash, Yikadash, Shnei Rabbah, V'yamad Yirach Yerutei, V'yamlik Malutei, V'chayachon V'yomkon, V'chayek T'chol Beit Yisrael, May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen. Zikronam livracha, may their memories be for a blessing.
You may be seated. I'm going to invite up Joanne Marcusy. Joanne, why don't you use my mic up here? She's going to be offering our synagogue announcements. Bruce is away conveniently today. No, he sends his well wishes to all the class. He's really kvelling with you right now.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Mazel Tov to our amazing Adult B'nai Mitzvah class and their families, Jack Curtis, Sharon Krebs, Andrea Mason, Ruth Meyerowitz, Audrey Nadal, and Renee Schwartz. We are so proud of you. We would like to thank our service greeters this evening, Linda Bergman and Sheila Bernard Tucker. We really appreciate your help. Very special thank you to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, and Paul Staley for a beautiful service tonight in honor of Shabbat. And whether we're in person or virtual, we're always together for Shabbat. Our virtual offerings this weekend are Torah study at 9 a.m. tomorrow and the Shabbat morning service and virtual Kiddush luncheon at 11. Both events are on Zoom. Please visit our website for the links. Next Friday, our Erev Shabbat service will be at 7 p.m. in person and via Boxcast, Facebook, and YouTube. And we hope that you'll join us. This is an update of time and location, as we were originally going to be outside at 6 p.m., but we will be one more week inside at 7 p.m. And Shred It is coming on Saturday, July 11th from 9:30 to 12:30 in our parking lot. It's a very convenient way to have confidential documents shredded. You just pull in our parking lot and our staff will empty your car and the documents are shredded, and the fee is $10 for a banker box and $30 for larger containers, and it's cash only. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And a special thank you to Larry Pozis for coordinating this event. And Bruce Corris will be leading a safe driving class the following Saturday on June 18th from 9:30 to 3:30. The class will save you 10% off your liability, collision, and no-fault insurance for 3 years. And a portion of the proceeds will benefit Shir Shalom. Please contact Bruce if you'd like to register. And this Tuesday, Shavetas will be back from 4 to 7. Reserve your dinner now and receive a $1 discount. Just go to our website to pre-order. And as we are all very sad about the shooting at Tops Market on Jefferson, in an effort to help those families, we are part of 2 initiatives. One is a food drive of non-perishable items that we're collecting, and we also have a joint fundraising effort with Temple B'Zion. We sent some emails about it, and there's some information on our website. If you have any questions, please let me know. Now we're talking about celebrating. Save the dates for our 10th anniversary celebration on Friday, July 8th at 6 p.m. at our Erev Shabbat service, along with guest artist Noah Boudin. And the next night, on July 9th at 7 p.m., we'll be celebrating, hopefully outdoors, with a party complete with a DJ and dancing. We hope that you'll join us in celebrating this very special milestone, and please RSVP to me. And regarding our Misha Berach list, if you or a loved one needs to be removed from the list, if you could just call the office and let us know. We try very hard to keep it accurate, but we need your help. We continue to evaluate all events and protocols on a week-by-week basis based on the status of the pandemic, and our most important priority is to keep everyone as safe as possible. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to Rabbi Alex, Cantor Frank, Todd, Bruce, or myself. We're here for you. And Shabbat Shalom, please help yourself to our Oneg to Go that is sponsored by our Adult B'nai Mitzvah class in honor of their B'nai Mitzvahs. And if you would ever like to sponsor an Oneg to Go, just let me know for any occasion at all or no occasion at all. And following our service, I'd like to ask our Adult B'nai Mitzvah class to stay in the sanctuary for a group picture, and a special thank you to Chris Cohan for being our photographer this evening. Shabbat Shalom.
There is an all-night study session if you want to stay up tomorrow night. Actually, there's several, I guess. Ira's leading one over at KOT, but there's also over at Temple Besedik, we have our communal one, and I think it starts with Mincha here at 8:30. 8. First speaker's at 8:30, and Mark Horowitz, I believe, is the speaker. And I'll be on at 11:30, so if you'd like to join. Next week, also, Jill Hamilton and Todd Sugarman will be reflecting on the merger. It should be a really interesting discussion. So those of you that have been part of our community, I think you'll really get a sense of the history. I think for this class, as we come to a close, I think it's important for you to see that you're joining the ranks of many here in this room. If you have had an adult B'nai Mitzvah celebration in your life, can you stand up? I noticed there was a couple others that left. Yeah, look at that. Okay, yeah. Thank you. I just want to give you guys a sense now you have joined all these other proud individuals who have gone through this, and you will be pictured on our wall just like many of them as well. We're going to bring
Just gonna say.
Oh,
one
yeah,
thing.
yeah, sorry. Cantor has an announcement as well.
There is an artist that I follow, an artist of Jewish works. Her name is Juliet Spitzer, and she sent me an email with, it's a mandala specifically for Shavuot. Anybody here like to color? Right. So it's a beautiful mandala specifically for Shavuot, and she asked that I could share it with the community and everything. And she said it was created with the intention of welcoming the fruits of this past Omer period, the 49 days between Passover and Shavuot, which we are now starting to celebrate. May we be blessed with receiving whatever our Torah is meant to be this year, and may it be for goodness and healing for us and for all the world. So there, I printed up about 12 of them back there. If we need more, just I'll run out and I'll make some more. I wasn't sure how many people were coming tonight and trying to save some trees, but they are mandalas, and you can color in them, and they're specifically for Shavuot, with the intention of enjoying a meditative type practice and thinking about the holiday of Shavuot. And it's a gift from Juliet Spitzer. So they will be, when you bring your Sidurim back to the table by Linda, by the court by Linda will give you one of those, and I'll make some more. So enjoy them. Thank you.
Yeah, they're really beautiful. We are ready for Adon Olam, which is our final hymn on 625. Invite the class back to the microphones there, as they'll be leading the repetitive part. It's a call and response.
Adon Olam, Hashem Alav, B'Telem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Adon Olam, Li'it Nasa, B'Chefso Kol, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra, Adon Olam, Adon Olam,
Adon Olam,
Hashem Alav, B'Telem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Li'it Nasa, B'Chefso Kol, Azay Melech Shemo Nikra, Adon Olam, V'Yacharei Kiklot Asher Malach, B'Terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Yitnasa, B'Chefzo Kol, Hasayim Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, Behu Echad, V'Ish Sheni, Necham Shilon Nechach Birach Adon Olam, V'Di Reshit, V'Di Tachlit, V'Lohos V'Hamis Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'Terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Yitnasa, B'Chefzo Kol, Hasayim Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, V'Hu Eli B'Chai Koani, V'Tzorchet Libi Yitzhara Adon Olam, V'Hu Nisi U'Anosli, V'Nakosi B'Yomeka Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'Terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Yitnasa, B'Chefzo Kol, Hasayim Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam, B'Yado Avkid Ruchi, B'Yitishon V'Yahira Adon Olam, V'Yim Ruchi K'V'Yati, Adon Ali V'Lo Yira Adon Olam, Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'Terem Kol, Yitzir Nivra, Yitnasa, B'Chefzo Kol, Hasayim Melech Shemo Nikra Adon Olam.
We're going to invite Audrey and Jack over to the table over here. We have two challahs, one that came from Sam's Club or something like that, and the other that was brought by Audrey. One is gluten and the other is gluten-free. You might ask, well, how do you make a gluten-free challah? Well, Audrey showed me you have to have a mold. Look at that. Hold that one up. That's beautiful. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Shabbat Shalom and Chag Sameach and Mazel Tov.
We can start picking it up. You pick up the candy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן